Most people think becoming a millionaire requires either a six-figure salary, a lucky stock pick, or starting in your 20s. But I'm about to show you a spreadsheet that completely destroys that idea. A 40-year-old, $25,000 to start, $1,500 a month, one boring index fund, and at age 57, before most people even think about retiring, they cross $1 million. Not because they were lucky, not because they were a genius, because of something hiding in plain sight that almost nobody talks about. Stay with me, because the second half of this video will genuinely change how you think about money forever. Before we go anywhere, let me confirm you clicked on the right video. This is about a specific plan, a $25,000 starting investment, $1,500 a month going in after that, all of it sitting in a plain S&P 500 index fund, starting at age 40. No stock picking, no crypto, no timing the market, just patience, consistency, and the most powerful financial force in the universe. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what your money does year by year, and why most people never see the finish line simply because they quit too early. Let's start with a question nobody asks enough. What does a seed look like before it becomes a tree? It looks like nothing. It looks like dirt. You water it, you wait, and for weeks, maybe months, you see absolutely nothing happening above the surface. And if you didn't know better, you'd think the seed was dead. You'd think your effort was wasted. You'd stop watering it. But underground, the roots are doing the hardest work they'll ever do. Anchoring, spreading, building a foundation strong enough to hold something massive one day. The growth is invisible, but it is happening every single day. This is exactly what investing feels like in the first few years. You put in your $25,000 seed, you add $1,500 every month, you check your account, and the number feels underwhelming. By year 2, you're around $64,000. You've put in money, the market has helped, and yes, you crossed $50,000 for the first time, but it doesn't feel transformational. It doesn't feel like you're on your way to $1 million. It feels like you're saving up for a car. This is the part where most people quit, or panic, or convince themselves the plan isn't working. But here's what's actually happening underground. You are building roots. By year 4, you've crossed $100,000. That's the first real psychological milestone, the first comma. And I want you to feel that for a second. Because 100,000 compounding at 10% a year generates $10,000 in investment returns in just 12 months. That's $833 a month the market is adding on top of your own contributions. You're not there yet, but the engine is warming up. Most financial conversations stop at just keep investing, but I want to show you what's actually happening mechanically, because the mechanics are where the magic is. At age 40, when you drop in that 25,000 seed and start adding 1,500 a month, you are not building a portfolio, you are building a money machine. And like any machine, the early stages are almost entirely about assembly. You're bolting the parts together, you're not producing output yet. You're manufacturing the factory that will one day manufacture your wealth. And this process takes about a decade before it really starts to feel different. At year 10, you're 50 years old, your portfolio is sitting at around $352,000. You've personally deposited roughly $205,000 of that. The market has added the rest. That's real money. That's more than most people have saved in their entire lives. But here's where it gets interesting. At $352,000, your portfolio is now generating roughly $35,000 per year in compound returns. Just sitting there. You haven't done anything extra. You haven't moved money around, you've just stayed. And now the portfolio is contributing almost as much as your monthly investments are. The roots are finally breaking through the surface. And then something happens between year 10 and year 13 that feels almost supernatural. You cross $500,000. You're at age 53. You look at your portfolio and the number says $500,000. And if you've been patient enough to get here, if you've been watering this thing for 13 years without quitting, then what happens next is going to shock you, because at $500,000 compounding at 10%, the market is now adding $50,000 a year to your account. $50,000 a year that you didn't work for. Think about that. You are still putting in your $1,500 a month, $18,000 a year from your own pocket. But the market is handing you $50,000 on top of that. Your money is now working harder than you are. This is the tipping point. This is the moment the tree starts growing faster than you can track. And this is why the second 500,000 is so much faster than the first. It took you 13 years to go from 0 to 500,000. It takes you only 4 more years to go from 500,000 to 1,000,000. 4 years. Because you're no longer relying on your contributions to do the heavy lifting. The portfolio itself has become the engine. You are just the fuel. And at this point, you barely even need to add fuel. The engine is mostly feeding itself. At age 57, year 17, you cross $1 million. Let me say that again. Age 57, not 67. Not at some distant horizon that feels impossible. 57, with 8 solid years still ahead before what most people call retirement age. You are a millionaire with time left on the clock. Now here's a number I want you to sit with. At the $1 million finish line, where did every dollar come from? Your original 25,000 seed, that's 2.5% of the million. 2.5%. The thing that started this entire journey, the thing that felt so significant when you wrote that check, it's barely a rounding error in the final number. Your monthly contributions over 17 years. $306,000. That's 30.6% of the million. You physically earned and saved roughly 33 cents of every dollar. The other 67 cents, the other $669,000, that was free. The market gave you that, not because you were smart, not because you picked the right stocks, because you were patient, because you showed up every month and didn't quit. The 1,500 a month habit is the hero of this story. Not the strategy, not the timing, the consistency. You personally earned 33 cents. The market gifted you 67 cents for every dollar in your million, and it gets better. Because now you're 57, you have $1 million, and you have a decision to make. Do you retire now, or do you keep going? Let's say you keep going. You keep the 1,500 a month flowing. You don't touch the portfolio. You just wait. At 60, you're sitting at 1.2 million. At 65, traditional retirement age, you have $2.04 million. Some projections put you as high as 2.83 million depending on market conditions. But let's use the conservative number, $2 million. Now think about this. You went from 0 to 1 million in 17 years. And then in just 8 more years, you added another million on top. You made a second million faster than you made the first. Because the tree is fully grown now, the roots are deep. The canopy is massive, and every single year it drops more fruit than the year before. This is what Warren Buffett means when he talks about a snowball rolling downhill. The snow at the top of the hill is thin, the snowball barely grows, but as it descends, as it gathers momentum, it starts collecting snow faster than you can track it. And by the bottom of the hill, it's enormous. Not because you pushed harder, because of physics, because of math, because of time. And at 70, if you're healthy enough, disciplined enough, patient enough to let it keep running, $3.4 million. Let me be honest with you about something now. None of this matters if your health is gone. I know that sounds like a detour, but it's not. Because what's the point of $2 million if you can't walk, you can't travel, you can't play with your grandchildren, you can't taste good food, you can't sleep well? Money is not the goal. Money is the vehicle. The goal is a life you actually want to live. So, while you're doing this, while you're being patient, while you're consistent, also be consistent with your body. Move, sleep, eat real food, get checkups, because the same compounding that builds your wealth also builds your health. Good habits stack on top of each other over years, and the returns accelerate just like your portfolio. You don't want to be rich and broken. You want to be rich and present, alive for every dollar you earned. Now let's address the thing many of you are feeling right now. But I'm already 40. Is it too late? Here's a different question. Too late compared to what? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. And this isn't a motivational poster cliche, it's literally the math. Every month you wait costs you real money, not symbolic money, real, calculable money. Because each month of compounding that you skip is a month of exponential growth that never happened. But 40 is not behind, not even slightly. Starting at 40 with this plan, you hit $1 million at 57, 8 years before most people even think about retiring. You hit 2 million by 65. You can be standing at 65 with more money in your account than 95% of people your age. Not because you started early, because you started. There's a philosophical idea I keep coming back to when I think about this. The Japanese concept of Kaizen, continuous improvement through small, consistent actions. Not big, dramatic gestures. Not a life-changing event. Just 1% better, every day, every month. The $1,500 a month is Kaizen in financial form. It's not exciting. It's not a story you tell at dinner parties. But it compounds. Quietly, invisibly. And one day you look up and you're standing in the shade of a tree you planted 17 years ago. And it is enormous. And it is yours. And you didn't need a miracle to get here. You needed patience. You needed consistency. You needed to not quit when the first few years felt invisible. One more thing I want to leave you with. That original $25,000 seed, the one that ended up being just 2.5% of your million. It mattered more than the math suggests, not because of its size, but because of what it represented. A commitment, a declaration, a moment where you said, I am taking this seriously, I am starting. That first seed didn't grow the tree, but it made the tree possible. The 1,500 a month is the water. The S&P 500 is the soil. But the seed, the decision to begin, that's the one nobody talks about enough. So if you're sitting there with $25,000, or honestly, even $10,000, or even $5,000, and you're wondering whether it's enough to start, whether it's worth it, whether you're too old, whether the market is too unpredictable, plant the seed, water it every month. Don't dig it up when you can't see anything growing. Because underground, right now, the roots are spreading. And one day, maybe year 13, maybe year 17, you're going to look at your account and the number is going to say something that changes your life. Not because the market was perfect, not because your timing was perfect, but because you were consistent when it was hard, patient when it was invisible, and brave enough to start. You can still retire rich. You can still build something real. And it starts with planting the seed. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with one person who needs to hear it. And if you want to see the exact calculator I used to build this projection, it's linked below. Make your own version. Put in your numbers. See your tree. See you in the next one.